Welcome everyone to our provider package from Flutter video part 2. Okay, so what is actually the provider package in Flutter? So this is the most easiest library for state management, and it is now officially supported by the Google or Flutter team. So how can we get the provider package and where we can find it? So go for the pub.dev, and if you go for the pub and dev, then look for the provider. Okay, so this is the provider package, and you can see this is the Flutter favorite thing. So, and here is some uses and documentation and a lot of things. We will cover each and everything in provider, and maybe we will show you how you can look for something bigger when you are ready to play or you are comfortable with provider. Provider, for example, if we think like a breeze, okay, so actually we want to create a perfect breeze that will use concrete, maybe sometime later that will be a steel breeze, blah blah thing, a lot of thing. Okay, so if we think example just like a breeze, then provider will be a breeze that is created by some rope and bamboos. So it really does the works you want to do. Okay, so it can carry a load at some level. Okay, so when you need to um, carry the heavy vehicles, you may need something much bigger than provider. Then you may look for RX, Redux, and hooks, blah blah things. Okay, so just in this video we will start playing with the provider. Okay, so go for the provider. So whenever we think about the provider has several steps to follow. Okay, or you can uh, do use you can use provider at some different level. Okay, just like state management, we had some easy to hard levels or easy to hard stages. In provider there is also some easy to hard stages or easy to hard levels. Okay, so in this case we will use the provider in the easiest way. Okay, so I hope you understand. So in this video we'll use the provider in the most easiest way, and the way we have found right in here in this page. Okay, so in this page they have described a very easiest example. Let's see what's it have. So this is a basic application. You can see right from here. Whenever you click on, you can log in, then you can click on any item, and whatever you click you can see them on your card. Okay, so the 3 items we had added, and we can see 3 of them on that card. So this is the example, and in here for completing this thing, I hope you understand the widget tree. Okay, so this is the parent, it has some children and it has some grandchildren, and thus it goes below. Okay, so whenever you have to carry some state from this list item to the card, okay, as list item is not directly connected with the card, what you have to do, you have to use the state management. Otherwise, if you use the callback, then you will first pass the value from the catalog, then the catalog pass the data from the myapp, and the myapp then pass the data from the mycard. So that would be tedious thing. you ever have done in your life. Okay, that's very good. So, and there is some good and bad way, and they have shown us. Okay, so I extremely recommend you to read this page, and this is so useful for the beginners who are interested in the provider package. Okay, and this is the most documented thing I have ever found. Okay, that's fine. So it has shown something, okay, that I have already discussed you, and then we are going for the truth. Okay, so I am saying you again, provider basically uses a wrapper around the inherited widget that belongs to the Flutter thing. Okay, that's fine, good. So in our first part of the provider, we will talk about the change notifier, the change notifier provider, and the consume. So basically, for completing this application, we only need these three things, nothing else. Okay. So the change notifier here, the change notifier is provided from the Flutter SDK. It's not from the provider package directly. So it's a class that belongs to the Flutter SDK. Okay, that's fine. So what it has? So basically, it has a very powerful method. The name of the method is ChangeNotifier. So what it does is really trigger some notification to the observer who are observing for changes. If you think like, if you are convenient with observer, you can think like that. Change notifier is the form of observer. This is not my word, this is a word from the Google developers. Okay, so change notifier is just a form of observer who are not really good with the observer things. They can use the change notifier kind of thing. No, so it's just a form, or the easier form for the observer. Okay, that's fine, that looks more convenient. What? Okay, then what? So what it does, it provides a method that is change notify. Okay, so if we go below and see one example right in here, you can see it has a method, the powerful, the moment of the truth, the notify listener method, which is a really powerful method. What actually notifies to the listeners that the value has changes. Now you can observe it. Okay, so basically this is just a model class. It don't think like this is the model. Okay, this is a model object. You can think like it's a block. The block, yes, it's kind of block. Okay, so in the observer thing, the observer basically notify in the observer, the RX kind of thing, whenever anything changes in a stream, the observer will be notified automatically. You don't have to do anything, and you can't really prevent that thing again. But in change notifier, if you call this method in your methods or in anywhere, then it will be notified, otherwise it won't be notified. So it's very handy in some cases. For example, sometimes maybe you want to change some value whenever it exceeds a limit. For example, if user clicking plus increasing a value, and when the value reaches the 100 or the 1000, you will notify something. Okay, So you can do this sort of thing by using the change notifier and the notify listener method. So this is kind of cool, you know? Yes, that's cool. Okay, now what is ChangeNotifierProvider? So ChangeNotifierProvider basically creates an object from the ChangeNotifier. So it really creates an object and what will hold the states, okay? So basically now we are talking about the states. So ChangeNotifier creates the states, okay? Basically, mm, okay, we can think like, okay, just skip the state thing. So basically, it holds the events and it opens a path for observing that events. Okay, so the change notifier provider. So I will show you the code of the change notifier provider. So change notifier provider is the thing that change notifier is the thing that is kind of important in our case because it's really create the object it really creates the gate for observing the events. Okay, so that's cool. So you have to, so this is an wizard and you have to wrap it with the just above wrap it above the wizard that's need to be notified. Okay, so if you think like we need to pass the state from my list item to the my card, then you can put the provider or my notifier provider just over the my catalog or my card. Okay, so you have to put that provider thing where can both of them, so it's inserting the event or it's creating the event and it's observing that event, so both of them needs a common thing and the common thing is the my app. Okay, so but if in some case you need to share the value along with the my app bar and the my list item, on that case probably my catalog wizard will hold the provider things. Okay, so basically we don't want to put everything on the top, on the very top, because that will pollute the things. So never do it. uh, Whatever you got, you put them on the top because everything is coming from the top, and that is not a good way. So put the thing from where um, from where the neighbors or from where the needers will get it. Okay, I hope this thing. So I will give you an example of change notifier provider. Right in here, you can see the change notifier provider basically has a very important argument, and that is the create, and that creates an object of the change notifier. Okay, the class that has been extended, the cut model that that extended the change notifier. Now we are creating the object. Okay, so and that provides that object, but if you have multiple, if you need multiple change notifier for some place like where you have some other things uh, need to be controlled. Okay, so I hope I will really show you an example where multiple change notifier will be used. Okay, so don't get any panic. On that case you might need to use the multi provider. So multi provider is nothing but a wrapper what holds multiple providers together. So I hope you understand what did I mean. So why I really don't put them on the same level, because they are not the same. The change notifier is on the very top. So the first thing you have to do is create the notifier thing, or what will actually hold the state for us. Okay, And then what you have to do is create the channel. Okay, so the change notifier provider will create the channel for us. And the consumer, what is the consumer? So consumer is almost like the observer who will observe the event from the change notifier. So if we go for the example, then you will see, just wrap that around or wrap that around the wizard that need the value or that need to observe the value. Okay, for example, if you want to uh, observe a text, for example the s or the price, then only the text wizard will be wrapped by the consumer thing. Okay, and in consumer there is some part. Okay, so you can see the consumer has an argument, and that is a builder. So what is actually builder? So builder is a function right in here, and that also contains three arguments: the context, this is just the context, and the card. And actually this is the implementation of the builder callback proverb. Yes, the builder callback. So it holds the value from the events. Okay, so this is the object what holds the value, and this is the child, and this is for the optimization. We'll talk it about also. So first of all, so this is a very good example to how to consume a data. But what will happen and when it will be called, or when how it will work? Okay, so from the change notifier, when on the method there will be a call of change notifier or notify listener, then the event will come from the from here to change notifier provider. Then the provider will provide the event to the consumer, and the consumer will replicate the things that has been triggered from the events. Okay. So we did the consumer. If we don't specify the generic, I hope we already know what is why this thing is. So maybe, for example, consumer must need a generic, and that will hold the change notifier or the block or thing that need to be, or the object that need to be observed. Okay, that's fine. And now we'll talk about the child. For example, when we have a wizard, and this wizard is also holds some other wizard. Okay, so it's a tree indeed, and on that case we can really for example, in this example basically it holds a stack wizard, and that stack wizard holds some other wizard. But if we want to change the value for only the text wizard, not the other wizard, on that case we can use that formula. Okay, so but this is not the good way, so you can always do the thing like the others where not the consumer not. So it would be better if you don't use the thing like that. Okay, and now the Provider.of. So this is the most common thing. We see that very often in a lot of examples. So sometimes you don't really need the data in the model to change the UI, but you still need to access it. What does that mean? You don't really need the data in the model to change the UI. So you don't really need the data to change the UI, but you still need to access it. You need the access. For example, a clear cut button. A cut button, okay? Clear cut that will delete everything from a cut button. wants to allow the user to remove everything from the cart. It doesn't need to display the content on the cart, so it doesn't need to be re-rendered every time a value changes, okay? But still it needs the access to that block or to that model, okay? On that case, you need the Provider.of. Just needs to clear them, okay? So you could use the consumer cut model for this, but that would be a waste because every time the data changes, the icon will re-render again and again and again, and that would be a total waste. So you'd be asking for the framework to rebuild the within value. For this case, you can use the Provider.of with the listen parameter to false. That means, yeah, I need the access, but I don't want to listen. Okay, we got it. What do you mean? Using the above line in the build method won't cause this widget to rebuild the notifier scenario. It's called putting it all together. So there is the basic dependencies, blah 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 things. You can check that example. There is an example when built with provider, and this is the very end. So maybe we'll put you everything. Yes, maybe. Maybe I will give you the links that you need for that. Provider. So yeah, there's a good example. Maybe in some time we will show you. Nice. So this is a very good example of using two model. In this case, there's two ChangeNotify. Okay, one for the catalog and one for the card. Nice. Maybe we'll play with them later. So that's all for today, and I forgot to create another thing we had talked right in here. Yes, Provider.of. Yes, and next I'm gonna use and I will also add some text here that gives the freedom to listen only to access but acting is on his will. That means, what does that mean? I hope you understand. Gives the freedom to access. Okay, so by using the listen thing, you can listen what's happening, or you have the access to do something on the block thing, or you can access on the methods, but acting is all depends on you. If you want to act for that action or for the event, you can do it. If you don't want to act, that is also possible. So I hope I have covered the very basic things and the most easiest way to handle the steps by using the provider in this example. On our next video, probably we will show you a more elaboration example on that thing. And I hope I have completed the whole thing, and I will provide a link of that. And till that, goodbye, see you then.